So what do you make then of Jakob Ingebrigtsen's chances? Absolutely sensational European double last year in the senior ranks over the 15 and the 5,000. Is this his day to shine here in Denmark on cross country?
On your marks.
Well, there's no doubting that gun. We are underway in this junior men's race. 112 athletes from 31 countries. It will be 4 laps. They will negotiate the short version of the hill up the back end of Mosgard Museum. And Ingebrigtsen, well, you can hardly miss him. He's probably the tallest in this field, running on the right-hand side there with the Norwegian all-in-one strip. But it's Kibet leading. The men coming through now, these junior men, having completed the first of 4 circuits. In total, it's around 7.7k for these men. And there's Ingebrigtsen, now just running behind Kifre and Kibrom, the 2 Eritreans. Solid at the moment, but it is the familiar might of East Africa, this trio of wonderful nations, Uganda, Ethiopia and Kenya, leading at the moment. And the Ethiopians, arguably the most impressive so far. But there we have the 2 bets. Edwin Bet was Commonwealth Youth Champion over 3,000 metres a couple of years ago. Leonard Bet was a World Junior silver medalist in the steeplechase last year. So both bets right in there. This is a solid pace being set by this lead group, and Ingebrigtsen just towards the left of your picture. He's there or thereabouts, but this is a whole phalanx of global talent that he's going to have to come to terms with if he is to secure a first medal in this event for a European nation since 1984.
The Ethiopians looking strong. Ingebrigtsen just not overextending himself in those upslopes. And it'll be interesting to see here, Rob, if he loses a bit of ground on them again, or if they slow and let him close up.
2 laps to go in this junior men's cross-country race over this most testing of courses. The hotly fancied European Jakob Ingebrigtsen is hanging on to this lead group, but there have been a couple of question marks, most notably as he has negotiated that brutal climb. Up at the front, Tadesse Worku, who was only 4th in the Ethiopian trials, is doing a wonderful job here of asking the awkward questions. And it's only a couple of Kenyans and Ugandans who are still in touch. Surely, Tim, at this stage, this gap's too big for Ingebrigtsen to close.
I would be astonished if he could close on them. There's 8 of them up there. You can see there he's in 9th place, 18 on. He was 6 seconds down going through the 3-lap marker. But it's interesting, isn't it? This has really made this a specific test of cross-country strength as we see the pack leaning into that hill and trying to cope with that climb for the penultimate time. You look at Worku, who's at the front of the field. His best 5,000 is 14:01. His best 10,000, 29:57 on the track. Track times have a very, very limited relevance on an event of this nature, and Ingebrigtsen, who's 40 seconds and more quicker than Worku, is now suffering in this 8-kilometre race. He's quite some way back, and the gap's opening again. They've really attacked over the last 90 seconds or so, because the pack of 8, Rob, has reduced to single file.
Yes, and it's the white t-shirt wearing Milkesha Mengesha who has decided to take this on. He has broken the field apart. This is early. This is a very, very bold moment to try and take this title. He looked good on paper, only just off the podium in the World Youth 3,000 metres 2 years ago. 5th in the African Juniors last year in cross-country. Worku is running a wonderful race in 2nd place, considering he was only 4th in their trials. But it's Mengesha who has been there or thereabouts on the major events. He leads at the moment from his compatriot Tadesse Worku. Oscar Chelimo, though, is in 3rd, and he is coming. There's Leonard Bess in the familiar red of Kenya. He's the athlete in 4th, and then it's a long way back to Ingebrigtsen, who isn't running badly, but he's on a brutal course against world-class opposition, and you don't always win.
placing in the top 10 against this sort of opposition is fantastic from Ingebrigtsen. You know, he's a 1,500-metre runner who's been doing a lot of strength work, but we've got to remember that's probably his primary event is 1,500. So he's really out of his comfort zone in this sort of race. Mengesha pouring it on now. Look at that stride length, bounding down that slope with so much bounce, so much freedom and relaxation. Little glance over his shoulder here and there just to check what's going on behind. He'll see his teammate who is behind him, Worku, doing a great job. There's that difficult right-hand turn. If it was wet, they'd be sliding away down the slope there. And now into the Moosgaard Museum roof for the final time. But this is a winning lead, and boy, has he worked for it.
This has been a very, very bold run from Mengesha, because on a course as hard as this, he went pretty early onto that last circuit, but even he is really having to grind this out. It's Mengesha who leads at the moment, from Worku in second. Watch out to see whether Leonard Bett of Kenya is going to close down Oscar Chelimo, the Ugandan, in third. That may be the subplot, because this is not going to be a burn-up on the line in this junior race as it was for the women. What a performance from Mengesha.
Yeah, he's worked for this and he deserves it, and he's executed this performance. He's rolled out this victory absolutely perfectly. Went at just the right time, early in the fourth and final lap, when everybody was really feeling it. Probably went earlier than most expected, and he gave them little chance to come back at him. He's made it a test of supreme strength and very much come out on top. Battle for silver.
Mengesha is the junior men's champion, and Worku just holds off the fast advancing Oscar Chelimo. The mountain running specialist completes the podium in third. The best Kenyan, fourth, Leonard Bett.